That was an interesting story with the Christmas tree. I was 11 and my brother had just turned 8 years old. It was 1959, and so my brother and I were at a friend's house on the corner of Brusinel. Remember where Brusinel? Right. My mother came to get us about 6 o'clock to take us back for dinner, which is a half a block away. And as we're walking to an apartment, we lived on the second floor of a two-family house. There were people outside that were looking up, and there was kind of orange lights kind of dancing off the window. And this one guy, in fact, I think his name was Mr. Azzolini, might have been Nicky Azzolini's father,
yeah,
said, "Is that a fire in your house?" And my mother said, "No." So we went in, and my mother's holding my hand, and Gerard was in back of us. We're going up, and we open up the door, and the tree is on fire,
flaming.
And we had a dog, and the dog got as far as away from the tree, from the fire as he could, and I broke away from my mother, and I ran in to get the dog. It was pure instinct. It was just pure instinct. And I got the dog, and I said, "Trigger," and the dog jumped into my arms, and we were running out. So Gerard led, then my mother, and then me, and I could feel, as we were going out, the heat of the Christmas tree. And unfortunately, I think it would have happened anyway, but my parents split up after that.
Right.
And we never found out what caused the fire. Was it a short? I don't think it was arson or anything like that.
For many years, sometimes memories are reconstructive. They're not reproductive. It's not like you press a replay and it plays back accurately. So my reconstruction of that day was that the landlord, who lived on the first floor and we were on the second floor tenants, the landlord's son, Mr. Washington. Right. My recollection was that his son, and I don't know, this doesn't reconcile, was trying to put the fire out with a carpet or a rug.
That's right.
And I remembered seeing that image, then my brother grabbing the dog, my mother taking us all downstairs and running out to save ourselves. We didn't know for a while where my father was. Right? We thought, could he be in the house?
Right.
Could it have been trapped? And so for a little while, we all worried. We went to our friend Rosanelle's house, looked from her window at the firefighters fighting the fire, seeing this all. And then we discovered, I don't quite remember how it happened, that my father was in the corner bar. And the good news is there was a local bar in Hoboken. So many corner bars existed,
right,
and he had his own fire safety rules. Go to a bar in case it's fire. If there's a fire, go in the bar when it's not a fire too. But at least it worked that day. Yeah. So that memory is seared in our memories. And I remember going back up to the apartment with my mother, surveying the damage, and we had a yellow parakeet. That died, and I remembered, and again as an 8-year-old, that's kind of trauma. I remembered the cage and the carcass of this charred bird, dead, and so looking at all the things, and yet my mother had this idea you can save things. Believe it or not, the furniture that our bedroom set that we had for Gabe and I. Lewis's refinishing, I think it was.
I think
she actually had this company that refinished it rather than buying new stuff.
And the TV too.
And the TV, I think. The TV was that right? Yeah, did it? Yeah.
It was the old TV, not the new. Right, we had two TVs, right?
So that was a searing memory for us because we lost everything. And that precipitated the separation of my parents because we all temporarily had to live with his mother above a candy store owned by our family, 8 blocks away, and we lived there for a couple of weeks, I think.
Right, with Uncle Tony and
Aunt Mary.
Right.
And then by that time, my mother found a cold water flat. That term, by the way, cold water flat, is referred to apartments that have no built-in heating, but have a gas burner in one room that you can light with a match that has gas, and it heats the whole apartment, except it heats that main room well, and you sort of have to find a way to bring the heat down the railroad rooms, the rooms that are lined up, and my mother found that apartment for us.
Just a few things about my father, our father. My memories as a very, very young kid, might have been even before Gerard was born. I think I've told you this, and it sounds surprising, but I remember thinking, I was sitting like in a little rocking chair. I remember thinking, I'm so lucky to have this mother and this father. And it was like ideal. I
Yeah, it's
don't
amazing,
remember my father drinking, even when we lived in 540 Marshall Drive. But once he started drinking, things got bad. He had a lot of good things. He was the most unprejudiced person that you'd ever want to meet. He was kind in many ways.
Absolutely.
But he was a violent alcoholic. I don't believe I was ever sexually abused, but we were physically abused. I mean, I'd go to school with 5 fingerprints on my face or a fat lip, and the teacher thought, well, he got into a school fight. What's that group if the teacher feels that something's going?
In those days, it used to be called DIFUS.
It's
now called DCP&D.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But a few other things. I remember one time I was in the 2nd grade, and now I'm a mathematician, but the teacher gave us like 64 math problems. And I just went home. I just started crying. I said, Dad, I can't do this. He says, we will do these in 10 minutes. And we did. For a person with only a 9th grade education, he was great. Another time, I remember he worked on the sea trains, which were like, he was a longshoreman, but instead of being at the docks, he were up the trains. It was a Saturday morning. I think Gerard was too young. And he took me to Edgewater, where he worked. And he took me in a locomotive. I still remember the engineer's name was George Temple. I still remember that. And the other thing too was the Babe Ruth story.